Squid Game Season 3 has officially dropped on Netflix, and reactions from fans and critics are all over the place. So is this new season a hit or a letdown? Let's get started on my review of Squid Game Season 3. Let's go. What's going on, all my beautiful people? This is Jacey, and I just finished watching Season 3 of Squid Game on Netflix. Before I do start this review, please note there will be some spoilers at the end of this review, so please be forewarned. Also, please make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more Netflix shows that I'm reviewing just like this. So this third season of Squid Game stars Lee Jung-jae, Lee Byung-hun, Jo Yoo-ri, and more. And I probably butchered some of those names, but I do want to talk about some of these actors because for the most part they did a pretty good job, and that's not really why fans are kind of mixed on this season. So Squid Game Season 3 picks up right where Season 2 left off, diving straight back into the chaos and heartbreak. The emotional weight is still there, and the series tries to remind us why this deadly competition hooked so many people in the first place. I remember when I saw the first season, I thought, man, this is like a more adult version of the Hunger Games. It still feels intense and high stakes, with characters pushed to their emotional and physical limits. But here's the issue. The formula is starting to feel familiar. There was a lot of times I was watching this season and I thought, okay, alright, so you're just kind of playing off the last two seasons and doing this again and that again, also stretching things out until the end, more so rinse and repeat type of stuff. And with that, a lot of the surprises just aren't that surprising anymore. The story reuses some old tricks and the impact is weaker this time around, which is why I'm sad to say, you guys, for the most part, this season kind of let me down, especially for a season that promised to wrap this story up. And I was kind of curious where this franchise was gonna go, but we'll talk about that in a bit. While the themes about class, greed, and desperation still hit hard, they feel more forced in some scenes. The pacing also dips here and there, especially when too much time is spent on unnecessary side plots that just kind of don't wrap up that neatly at the end. I felt like some of those side plots were just not that needed, and one in particular just drags on until the end, and it just ends up being kind of the same type of ending we saw in Season 2. And you don't get much of that satisfaction with these endings, and I was not expecting that because I was so hyped for this season. If you guys do follow me on TikTok, you probably saw me post about it, saying I'm so hyped about this, hopefully when they wrap up the season, etc, etc. But yeah, I was pretty let down. Now let's get into the acting though, because I do want to talk about some of the positives. Now when it comes to the acting, Lee Jung-jae once again delivers a powerful performance as Gi-han. I loved him, of course, in all of these seasons so far. He plays like that lovable hero as well as that underdog that you just really want to root for. This season, we see him struggling with guilt, grief, and growing sense of hopelessness. He's no longer the bold leader from before, more like a broken man trying to make sense of his failure. And I really did like that. Lee captures all of that with the raw emotion throughout this season. Kang Ha-neil as Dae-ho also steps up. His character feels more layered this season, especially when the tension rises between him and Gi-han. Their scenes together are gripping, showing how personal choices have serious consequences in this world. Now I also do have to talk about one of my favorite other actors in this, Lee Byung-hun, aka the frontman. He remains icy and sharp in this season, of course. His presence is always chilling, and his storyline adds some interesting layers to the staff side of the game. The weak link though, the VIPs. Their acting feels stiff and overly dramatic, although they did kind of add some of that commentary during some of the games that I was thinking and what I was saying out loud. It still felt like, okay, we're seeing a little too much of them, and why are they in this? Their lines kind of often sounded cartoonish, which clashes with the grounded performances of the main cast. Now another thing we do have to talk about is the games, and this is probably where I was let down the most aside from the ending and the last couple of episodes of the season. This season introduces some of the most direct and aggressive challenges we've seen yet. One game in particular takes the idea of hide and seek to a disturbing level, where players are armed and forced to hunt each other, and I did enjoy that game, as well as the jump rope game. But although these are brutal, it lacks the cleverness of previous games. Earlier seasons made players think fast and make tough decisions. Now some of the strategy is replaced by pain and violence, I did get it, but at the same time, I did want to see some of those strategic creative games that we've seen in the previous seasons. Now, with that being said though, the emotional stakes are still high in this season. Some players show true fear, courage, and heartbreak. Park Sung-hoon as Hyun-ju stands out, giving the game a mix of energy and depth that keeps things from getting dull. Now, this is the part of the review though that I do get into my spoilers, so do be forewarned if you want to click out of this and you want to finish the show, then come back. I totally get it. But the final episodes are a mix of strong visuals and strange decisions. The twist with the baby being added to the game feels shocking, but also a bit weird, especially since the baby is mostly CGI. And I know the internet's probably gonna go crazy with this, talking about the CGI baby, but it doesn't add much in terms of realism, and you can definitely tell. I get that it does make sense to the story, which is why critics for the most part are liking this, because they get the ending, especially some of the last words that we do see Gi-han make. I really did get it, but at the same time I thought, okay, you decided to do that, I guess. Still, it makes a strong point about how trauma can be passed down and how innocent lives get caught in systems of power and greed. And I did like how Frontman ended up making up for some of it, in a sense of giving the baby to the detective, also taking some of that money and giving it to Gi-han's daughter. I did like that, but I just felt like a lot of it was rushed, and they just kind of put the baby in there just to add that emotional punch that didn't work that well. The final showdown between Gi-han and the baby's father is emotional and intense. It looks amazing with stunning visuals and haunting atmosphere, but emotionally it feels a little predictable. You can see where things are headed well before they happen, especially because of an announcement that was made where the creator did say that they are interested in taking this show into the American demographic and doing an American Squid Game. In my head, I thought, please don't. Please let this be a lie. Unfortunately, that's where I was probably seeing the most negative come out of this season, is that it ends off with seeing Cate Blanchett playing the game and trying to recruit people in the States. And I just did not care for that. I get that you want to take it to America with these games and you want to make a different game show out of it. That's fine, but it just felt like a cash grab or very manufactured by the studio or by Netflix. And again, I have to bring up the reappearance of the VIPs that adds very little and mostly feels like filler. And then after the VIPs leave and the whole island somehow evacuates before that detective finally gets there, the island blows up. He doesn't do much, almost shoots his brother, and that's about it. It just felt like a letdown. But here are my final thoughts, you guys. Season 3 of Squid Game brings back the stylish visuals, emotional weight, and harsh lessons that made the show famous. But this time, it feels a little worn out. The plot leans too much on old ideas, the villains feel silly, and some twists are just too easy to see coming. Now, there still are some powerful moments, especially in the acting and the final conflict, but not enough to match the strength of earlier seasons. With all that being said, you guys, critically, I'm going to give Squid Game Season 3 3.5 out of 5 Phoenix Flames, because it does make sense to the formulaic story and it does wrap up at the end, but not everything's a payoff and some of it could have been a lot better. So for general audiences, I'm going to give this season 3 out of 5 Flames and an okay rating with an unsatisfying ending and a somewhat messy season as well. Alright guys, so have you seen Squid Game Season 3 yet? If so, what did you think of it overall? Let me know in the comments below. Last thing before I do go, you guys, please make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name's Jacey, and until next time, I'm out.